Comedy Historian Podcast with Robert Ross. In this episode, Robert is joined by Nick Santamaria as they discuss all things Abbott and Costello. They'll also be discussing Nick's latest book, The Annotated Abbott and Costello.
Hello, my gosh. Well, we should have met about 40 years ago, I think.
We should have. We could have had our hands across the pond, you know?
Right. I think we were separated at comedy birth or something. But
it seems that way.
Listen, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
I'm not seeing the physical one yet, but it's a work of masterly precision and love, and it's gorgeous. So
thank you.
Wow,
coming from you, that means an awful lot to me.
Oh,
thank
well,
you,
it's wonderful, and like I say, thank you for asking me to be a very, very small part of it. But I basically insist that everybody that sees it buys a copy.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting because there's only been a couple of reviews since it's been released, and it hasn't been released long. It hasn't been long, but the word definitive is being thrown around.
Yeah.
And to me, that knocked me between the eyes, right between the eyes. Yeah. I didn't expect that, but it's a wonderful thing and a wonderful word.
It's a word. It's a heavy word to have on your shoulders. You see, you've got to now, because there'll be people saying, "Well, I'm going to find something they're missing here," but they probably won't.
Yeah.
It's.
They'll go to Wikipedia.
Well, exactly. But like I always say, when you're writing a book, there's not elastic pages, is it? You've got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's hefty, and it's a weighty tome. So listen,
it is a weighty tome.
This is an obvious question, but and keep this down to at least 4 hours if you can. But why did you feel there was a gap for this book, and why did you feel that you were the person to work with Matthew to write it?
Okay, there's two things. Number one, the main reason we chose to write this book was because we feel that Abbott and Costello don't get the respect they deserve. I mean, Abbott has been cited by no less than Groucho Marx as the greatest straight man who ever lived. And Lou Costello, I'm sorry, but as a comedian, he has it all. He has the verbal skills, he has the physical skills, he has the pathos. He's just, to me, he's like the perfect package. So we wanted to show our respect. We wanted to talk about the films like they've never been talked about before. And the other reason is that there hasn't been a really, really comprehensive book about them since 1991, and it's out of print. So yeah, and it's a wonderful book. Yeah.
Well, I've got all the other ones that have been obviously the down to the sort of the photograph books and all that. But why is it to this day, I think, that they are considered a little bit sort of not second rate, but in comparison to Laurel and Hardy, for example, as you say, they don't get that sort of prestige and recognition. Where they are clearly, as you say, the package. They are the best example of that crosstalk.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Why is it when there's still a little bit of snobbishness about it? Maybe
that's the word. That's the word. There is snobbishness, and there was when they were working. I write in the book in my intro about how the other comedians would use their names as almost an insult to someone who makes a corny joke or an old joke. You know, Jack Benny would say, "All right, Abbott and Costello, shut up," you know, and that tells you everything. But the truth of the matter is, when you watch, let's say, Who's on First for the 90th time, and you're laughing just as much as the first time you watched it. I don't know what it is about that bit, but it works every time. It's their acting skills that put it over. It's not the sketch. The sketch is not that great. You know, it doesn't make sense. It's contrived to the 10th power. But it's their commitment to it that draws us in and makes us laugh. It's amazing. It's just amazing to watch it happen. There's a sketch they do called 7 times 13 equals 28. I know you're familiar with it. When I show that to my class on film comedy, every time the laughs come at exactly the same places. Every time. Now that's science. That goes beyond comedy into science, or math.
It is. I was going to say it's a mathematical equation, isn't it? When those
Mhm.
two people work together, it's precise. Yes, I know you. Well, I've been to the Lou statue, and to read that sketch and to read a lot of their sketches, it's pretty academically. It's stretching the joke to beyond breaking point. But when you watched it performed, it's beautiful.
That's it. It's
Magic.
their performances,
Yeah.
and you have to realize. I talk again. I know I anger a few people when I compare them to other comedians, but I'm sorry. I find more depth in Lou Costello than I do in Stan Laurel, than I do in Curly of the Three Stooges, who I think is, I'm sorry, he's a cartoon character. Not bad, but to me, not on the same level. Um, it's shtick. It's shtick. He couldn't carry a film on his own. Anyway, I think Abbott and Costello have been given short shrift. I think they are completely hilarious. And yesterday I did the Marx Brother podcast, and we talked about the Abbott and Costello films as compared to the Marx Brother films. Blah blah blah. To me, um, they're so different. They were so urban. They were so current. They were so hot. They were the 1940s rolled into like this ball of TNT, and it's as powerful as any of the pre-code comedians. I think Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein should be right up there with City Lights and Sons of the Desert and all the General, all the great classics. It's a near perfect film.
And I think we all that lovely top 10, which again, thank you for asking me to do it.
Thank you for contributing. We wouldn't have done it without you, Robert.
Well,
just know that. Seriously, you were one of the people we were going after.
Well, so. It's funny. It's fun. Well, it's a bit. But I was going to say, because in England, although their films are shown, they're not shown that often. But their influence over here was profound. Certainly, Morecambe and Wise. Although Morecambe and Wise did a lot of the Stan and Ollie in bed together stuff, their abrasiveness is more Bud and Lou.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with it. An 80s Cannon and Ball were followed on from Morecambe and Wise. They were so Bud and Lou. And Tommy Cannon, the straight man I spoke to the other day, cites Bud Abbott as an inspiration. But it was almost a foregone conclusion that Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein would be top.
Yeah, number one.
Would you wouldn't put it top though? Would you really out of all their 38 films? Wouldn't be your top choice?
Actually, I think I did list it as number one for me.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that as a child, there were two passions in my life more than anything: vintage comedy and universal horror movies. Basically, yeah. There you go. Again, I want to know where you come from, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. or all the Hammer stuff. Or you can see behind me the British Vincent Price film signed by Diana Rigg. So yeah, we've got a lot of horror stuff in here too. But yeah, so classic comedy and Universal. Boom, you got them.
Put them together, and it's a perfect match. And again, except for that one joke at the beginning where the monster is afraid of Lou, they're played entirely straight. And that's exactly the way it should be played. And they have something to play against. There's instant conflict, as opposed to something like Young Frankenstein, which I really can't get through anymore. Everybody's winking at the camera. Everybody's got a joke. Everybody's waka waka. Doesn't work for me. Just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's got Young Frankenstein has the feeling of love behind it. Definitely, he loves those movies. But the jokes, I was predicting them when I was 13 years old, watching it the first time. So
yeah, well, I suppose because with Meets Frankenstein, you've got the original guys there, obviously, haven't you? So you've got Bela Lugosi coming in for the first time on screen for 17 years, having played, and he plays it so beautifully.
He's fabulous.
He is fantastic. You could say no, but
fantastic. Hey, that was sharp.
No, thank you very much. Yes, please, no, stop. But there's such beauty in his performance, and you can see he's obviously gone through all those monograms and all the sort of the Poverty Row stuff, and he's almost like, this is my last chance to show how damn good I am at this role.
Yeah, and it was his last A picture.
Yeah.
From there it was straight downhill, and I still don't understand it. I mean, everybody said, oh well, he should have learned English better, he would have worked more, and that's true, But look at his performances that exist. They're wonderful.
Yeah, but if
He could have done.
he wouldn't be Lugosi without that.
That's exactly right. And that odd
Yeah.
delivery, you know. I
Yeah,
love that.
the reading of a line. So that's the one I suppose. Every Halloween, I forced Emma to watch it every Halloween.
Just while we're on the subject of the horror thing, I was at a convention in New York. It was a brand convention, so a lot of selling was going on, and there was a new version of the Three Stooges television show where they show the shorts and everything. And for some reason, Sarah Karloff and Bela Lugosi Jr. were there. And I found myself in conversation with them. And I was standing between the two of them, and I just looked and I went, you know, when I was a kid, had you told me that I was going to someday stand between Karloff and Lugosi and have a conversation? I had the same experience with Lois Laurel and Chris Costello, sitting right between them, thinking, my God, what a lineage! I know. It's amazing.
We are both blessed in that, because sitting with Sid James's kids or something, for me, you just think, this is ridiculous. You can call them sort of friends. I find myself pitching myself every day, thinking I am so lucky to be doing this. But yeah. So what do you think it was about Bud and Lou being scared that was so funny?
Yeah. Well, basically, it was Lou. I mean, that was Lou's shtick. Mel Brooks said that he did the best scare take in the business, and that's true. There's one scene in Keep 'em Flying where he's in the funhouse and he's sitting next to a gorilla, and he doesn't see it. He thinks it's Martha Ray, right? Not something that I don't think that happened very often. But when he turns around, he turns around and he sees the gorilla, and I can't stand it. I laugh so hard. He can't get away. He can't move. He can't run. And he's trying, and he's pulling his own coat, trying to get himself off the bench so he can run. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He does things like that. It just drives me crazy. When he does the Lindbergh cheese in Who Done It, that's as good as anything that they did in the silent comedies or anything like that. It's just funny from start to finish. They get short shrift. They just get short shrift, and they don't deserve it.
That's interesting. Is that a thing? Because obviously Laurel and Hardy, W.C. Fields, they had a big foot in silent cinema. Is it because Bud and Lou weren't of that generation no, don't you think?
No, they were burlesque comics straight through, and which is why they were so looked down upon in Hollywood. They never gained the respect of the community, which is very sad. Part of that is that they were tough guys from New Jersey. They spoke like it. They owned the double negative. I'm not talking to nobody. But that's the way they spoke. But one of the differences between, let's say, Laurel and Hardy or the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello, they barely read the script. They saw the title, they asked what it was about. They would come in, and while they were in makeup, they'd look at the scene, maybe not even memorize it, but they'd look at the scene. They'd show up and they'd say, okay, where do you want us to start? Where do you want us to end? And it was almost like I don't know if you're familiar with the show Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Of course, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
That's filmed that way on purpose. This is where we start. This is where we end. Go. And that's how Bud and Lou worked.
That spontaneity is in place there, isn't it? That they can go over the edges a bit, and yeah.
And there was always an extra camera on Lou because you never knew what he was going to do. But people like Buster Keaton and even Groucho Marx have derided them because of it. They called them lazy, whereas to me, I use the same thing. When Will and I did our Biffle and Schuster movies, we didn't read the scripts. We read the scenes before we went in, and then improvised. To me, it's best for comedy.
You knew where you were going to end up, but the middle bit was loose.
Was kind of like loosey goosey. It's kind of like It
was like
spontaneous.
It's like Hope and Crosby in the Road films, don't they? They sort of sent up, and they break the fourth wall and that whole thing about if you hear one of your gags, shout out, sort of thing, and all that. It's a nice feeling that the audience feels like they're part of the process in a way, don't they?
Yeah, it's a very staged thing. It's a very panto. You're walking up and you're talking to the audience. It's great. It's great stuff. Lou did it a lot too. There were movies in the 1940s, especially, where he talks to us. he just turns, I didn't even get hurt, things like that. It's like, yeah.
But what surprised me that you're saying that about the fact that the Hollywood fraternity were quite sort of snobbish about them too, because they were making money, right? So
Huge money.
You would think in Hollywood, if you're big box office, then you should be lauded by all the
Right.
big wigs. But that didn't
I
happen.
agree with you. I agree. No, it didn't happen. He had a few friends. They had a few friends in the business. Bud was very, I have to say, he owned a nightclub or a bar in Hollywood, and he would hang out there a lot with his burlesque buddies and stuff like that. That's where he was happy. Lou had a couple of friends in the business. At the beginning, the Andrews sisters were always over to the house. When Lou Jr. passed away, that stopped. He wasn't as social, understandably so. But William Bendix and his wife, they were best friends. Jane Wyman, I know he knew them, but basically, there's home movie footage on one of the collections of their TV shows, and you see a Sweet 16 party that Lou threw for his daughter, and the only celebrities were William Bendix and Jane Wyman, and I was very, very surprised to see Jane Wyman. But yeah, they thought, these guys are low class. These guys are, even the executives at Universal used to look down on, and that's why Lou was so protective of the team and how they were treated.
Yeah, and they were quite hypercritical of their own work, I suppose, weren't they? Would they watch the films after they'd been shot, and even a year or two after release, would they go back and sort of see what they could improve upon in their work, or was it a case of once the film's done, that was it, and on to the next?
Yeah, yeah, they didn't even like doing 2 takes.
Okay,
but I know they went to the previews and they went to the premieres, so they saw the films. And it's funny, it's well known that neither one of them liked Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And after the premiere, Lou's mother, who he absolutely adored, came up and said, "That's the best thing you've ever done." So I think he might have changed his opinion based on that, but who knows? Maybe they just didn't like the change that was happening, because there was a change happening at the time.
I think you make a point in the book, or you certainly have on some of your online stuff, that it's the key that unlocks the door in a way, that film, isn't it? Because it's the one you see as a kid, as you did, as I did. It's the one that, again, like you, galvanized my love of these two crazy comedians, plus all that legacy of horror. And it's the one I think that you were hooked. It's the one I would show my niece, I think, when she's a bit older.
Right.
It's almost like that's their legacy. And if you've got the interest, then you can dig deeper, and with the thanks to your book, put it into some sort of context now, and watch their other work, can't you?
Right. And a lot of my movie pals, a lot of my movie historian pals are using it as a companion to rewatch the films now. They're starting at the beginning chronologically and going and reading the chapter, then watching the films. What better way,
You can count us in on that as well, because when I'm going to start, Gemma, from the very beginning. One Night in the Tropics, we're going to do the lot, and we will refer to your book.
Do it. And I have to say, it's co-written by Matthew Coniam, who wrote the annotated Marx Brothers, which is an excellent book. And his chapters in this book are just exemplary. I don't want to seem too humble, but when I read one of his chapters and then I read one of mine, I see that he went in for the heavy work while I went in for the instinctive work. I'm a comedian, so I'm doing it from a comedian's standpoint or a performer's standpoint.
How did you sit down and divide the films up then? Was it a case of you just saying, "Oh, I definitely want that one," or was it a flip of the coin, or what?
That was pretty much the way it went. We actually wrote down all the films. We made checkpoints on the ones we wanted to do, and it actually kind of worked out. So he did 19 and I did 19. It was perfect. I just had one request, was that I got to do Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. We open every chapter with a quote, right? And then begin the chapter. Mine was written for Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The quote is written in Korean. And it means, it's translated to, "Thank you so much. We loved that. That was hilarious." I took it on a cruise ship. I used to be a comedian on the cruise ships. And I took a tape of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I got them to agree to let me use the movie theater at midnight. And I invited the whole staff, and they were all Korean. Nobody spoke English. You never heard such laughs. You never heard such laughs. They didn't understand a word that was going on, but they loved it. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is the proof. This is it.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just going to get bigger and better in terms of the applause for it, I'm sure, because I will use the D word again. It is definitive.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Robert.
And I'm can't wait for my hard copy to arrive. I'm holding back to start the Bud and Lou-a-thon until I get a proper copy in my hand. But we will do that. But what you've done in your book is going to be a sort of cornerstone for future generations to look at and learn from, which is for me it's so important what you've done. So
thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.